you did as Reddit. What was the worst thing you did as a horny teen? NSFW. We had a family party at my hot cousin's house one day, and when nobody was looking, I went over to their key rack and pocketed one of their house keys. After the party I went to Home Depot and made a duplicate of their house key. Her parents got mad at the rest of the family a day later because their key was missing. So
this, first of all, this nigga's a smooth criminal, cause ain't no way
in the middle of
niggas that got cameras in the house.
The night I went to their house, put the original key on the porch, rang the doorbell, and ran like hell. Now I had to play the waiting game. Their whole family went on vacation to Vegas for spring break, so this was my chance. In the middle of the night, after my dad dropped them off at the airport, I used the duplicate key to quietly break into their house. Now I was free to do what I was planning for the last few months. I immediately went to my hot cousin's room and stripped myself naked. I had this rush that I never experienced before because I was technically committing a crime while horny. I went into her closet and practically dove into her dirty laundry pile.
Oh, he one of those. Bad shooter.
Rolling around in it, sniffing the duck out of it. Anything my dirty teenage self could think of. I rolled around in her bed and jizzed all over it.
Yeah, Bish, yes, okay. He jizzed all over it, so he... Okay.
While covered in her dirty laundry, after about 30 minutes I got nervous because I left so many lights on and saw a couple neighbors on the phone, staring at the house. I went out the back door and jumped the fence only to come face to face with another
Why he just got the
neighbor who for sure saw my face. He tried to grab my arm but I was too quick for him and I dipped. To this day I'm scared as duck to go in their neighborhood. But holy it, that was the greatest experience of my life. Worth it. Reposting my comment from a similar thread about a year ago. I was about 13. I was out fishing in the great outdoors. Swimming through the water and fishing in one of these things. So I'm partially under the water. I'd been out there for a while. And I got the urge. Odd. Since there's nothing boner inducing about fishing. Perhaps it was a boredom boner since I wasn't getting any bites.
Boner? What the fuck it is? Stick his dick out? Wait, what? I was 13, I was in the water fishing, one of these things. What was you mean? Like...
Long story short, I jerked it. I came into the water and the current began to take it. It was no more than 5 or so feet away from me when a fish came up and ate it. I turned a rainbow trout into a cum-guzzling fish whore. Edit. Words. Masturbated on a coach whilst everyone around me was asleep. I found out last year the girl who sat next to me wasn't. I found my mom's vibrator, and I was horny. So I turned it on and put it against my D and rubbed up and down until I came. Only in...
Yo, what's up with y'all?
Till my post-cum consciousness kicked in did I realize the horror. I had a really soft and cum consciousness kicked in did I realize the horror. I had a really soft and fluffy blanket on my bed. I would get naked and lay on it because it was so soft. Then I started moving around and found out how great it felt on my D. I would eventually start to cum on that blanket. A lot. Several times a night. No cleanup. I just left it. My mom mentioned how dirty it was when she washed it one time. Edit. Apparently I'm no getting tagged as cum blanket. Duck. In 8th grade, I saw a girl's boob touch the edge of her desk, not like naked boob or anything, but like fully clothed boob. When nobody was in the room, I went over and licked the desk.
Bro, what the fuck, bro?
I'm not proud of this. When I was 12, I was
why'd I keep this to yourself?
Home alone and extremely horny. When masturbation wasn't enough, I walked around the house, naked, with a boner. I was looking for somewhere to put it in. After some searching, I saw my bicycle. I laid it down on the floor and pillar drived my D into the peg. I only got 2 pumps in before I realized how terrible of an idea this was. I proceeded to feel disgusted with myself for the rest of the summer. Me, heterosexual male, and couple of my friends went out one snowy night at age 13 and made a snowman with a huge D. We all sucked his snow D for about 10 minutes. And made a snowman with a huge D. We all sucked his snow D for about 10 minutes.
How do you make that? What? But why did you make? No.
We all got horribly sick and had to stay home from school for a week. Put ice cubes in my butts for fun. Had sex with my then GF in the elevator of my high school. Since I'm wheelchair bound, I took her on the elevator with me a
Yeah, wheels.
couple of times.
Wheels getting
One
big.
day we just decided to push the emergency stop button. Good thing the alarm was not working at the time.
Was he paralyzed from the knee
Poured
down?
shampoo all over my D when I was laying in the bath. Got some in the pee hole. Days of endless sharp jabs of agony.
Ah.
Got an in-house suspension, which is when you have to sit in a room all day at school rather than stay at home. The room I had to stay in was attached directly to the vice principal's office. It had nothing in it except for a table and a chair. I was supposed to be doing homework all day. After a few hours of doing nothing and no one checking in on me, I beat the it out of my D. Came on the carpet. You know those guys on Omegle? I was one of those guys.
Oh.
I tried to duck my couch when I was 13. Not even a throwaway, I have no shame. Used a plastic sandwich bag as a condom. I used to ride my bike.
Yo, these niggas in Reddit are down. True. These niggas are down atrocious. This shit don't make no sense.
Quite a lot when I was a teenager. One day, I got this idea to ride my bike to my grandmother's house. It's about 8 miles. Round trip. So I ride my bike out there, and sure as it, they're not home. There's a huge hill probably a quarter of a mile long, and on the way down this hill I rode with no hands, and then it struck me. I shoved my hand in my pocket, and beat my it until I came. Riding a bike no-handed, down a fairly steep hill. I think about this quite often, and I'm so glad I didn't fall off my bike. Fingered my GF while parents were in the room. I masturbated on an airplane.
How is that possible? Like, and that. There's a nigga right here, there's a nigga right there, there's a nigga right there, there's a nigga. Okay, the people behind you, that's obvious, you know what I'm saying? Leeway. You know what I'm saying? You could turn or some shit like that. But the dude on the left of you, whatever.
That was cool, I guess. Masturbated while tubing down a river. My family was 200 yards behind me. I jerked off 5 minutes before class and ended up being late because I always bask for 10 minutes. My friend and I, both 17, double teamed a girl at a sleepover. The sad part is that my other friend asked her out the next day. Story time. So it's my friend's birthday. Let's call him Bob. So Bob invites all the usual people, but Bob's sister invited her friend. So the party continues and I start talking to this girl. It turns out she likes me. I, being the player I am, go to my friend and say, I'm in their dog. Party ends. It's Bob, Bob's sister, Bob's sister's friend, my other friend and me. We are sitting on the couch, I playing with a girl, and Bob goes to bed. It's just my friend, the girl and me. My friend then starts to fill her up. I'm sporting full cub. I take the back and he takes the front. 20 minutes later we are both done. Go to bed and get up. It turns out Bob asked out the girl. To this day Bob never know what happened that night.
Be your own niggas.
Took some racy shots of my boobs to send to a complete stranger. Unfortunately, despite thinking I had deleted them from family to a complete stranger. Unfortunately, despite thinking I had deleted them from family computer, they still ended up being viewable by my parents, who saw them. So embarrassing. I once tried masturbating with a Neapolitan ice cream bar. Not sure why I thought it would help, but I did it anyways. My ex. Ah ha ha ha. But I biked 8 miles a day for a whole summer to have a 6. And stuck my D in ice.
Damn.
Used to build snow women and teach all the kids in my neighborhood how to go down on women. A lot of the kids got some hot women later on in life. Coincidence? I was 9. A boy at school told me and my friend about sex and masturbation and all that good stuff. He didn't really go into details, however. All I got out of it was that if you get naked and a bed is involved, you'll have a good time. So I got naked and sat on my bed. I sat there for a bit and nothing happened. So eventually I gave up and got up and bam. Giant stain all over where I was sitting. To explain to my parents, I just told them I was changing my underwears and farted. Also, I'm a girl. Edit. For those asking. I actually did fart. That's how the it got there. Was really young. Right before I really learned how to properly fap. But still exploring sexual stuff. I would do things like hump my pillow or carve a hole into a Nerf ball for my wang. All that was well and good until I tied my D to my chair and then proceeded to trip over a stuffed animal, almost ripping my D off. I still have the scars. Oh, the humanity. If I've taken a number 2 at your house or business, I was probably fapping one out. I swear I had a permanent erection in my teens. In my mind it comes down to 1 or 2 things that I can think of. In my 8th grade Spanish class, everybody was kind of paired off with their desks, and I sat next to this one girl who I only really knew because of her boyfriend. We started talking some and it got kind of flirty and I decided one day I would just whip out my D. So I did that during class. I then proceeded to beat one off for her while the teacher was going on about one thing or another. That was an oddly invigorating experience. This one isn't completely the worst thing I did, but in 9th grade, my girlfriend at the time gave me a blowjob this public 2nd floor balcony that people used to enter and exit the 2nd floor of the building. Underneath this balcony was a restaurant, and being that it was midday, people were at the restaurant. I guess it was hard to tell when I would have finished because she was completely flabbergasted when I came into her mouth. She ended up going to the edge of the balcony and spitting it down to the restaurant seating below. We heard someone shout something up at us, but we bolted back inside before anything could happen. Definitely not some of my finer moments. But who hasn't been there? When I was in 6th grade, before everyone had a digital camera, I had a 7th grader scan her pussy and send it to me. Lost my virginity in the gym bathroom during lunch : downloaded porn on my neighbor's DSL Wi-Fi back in the days when I had 56k. No regrets. Blowjob in TJE bathroom at school. Got caught. 5 day out of school and the doors of all bathrooms got removed or chained open. Was a female giving me, male, a blowjob. And it's the initial doors leading into the bathroom, not the stalls themselves. Stuck a plunger in my butt. Received a BJ from my best friend's sister while he slept on an adjacent couch. I stayed over at their house a lot after the first time. I jacked off in class with a jacket over my D.
What?
Masturbated to my various aunts.
Huh?
I over my D. Masturbated to my various aunts. I masturbated with toothpaste. Don't ever masturbate with toothpaste. Luckily I was in the shower, so I was able to rinse it off immediately when the pain started. But at first it was a surprisingly nice lube. It burned for about an hour later. I've heard horror stories of friends that used icy hot. I jerked off on a plane. It had internet on it, but they blocked all the porn sites. But they didn't block Facebook. Rookie mistake. American Duckine Airlines. Starting when I was about 10, I made my dog eat me out. I would do it regularly. Several times.
I ain't lying, females are starting to be down. Terrible.
A week, probably for a good 3 years or so. I often think about this and feel horrible. I used to steal panties. Every chance I had to sneak off to some girl's room and grab a quick thong. I hopped on at it. I plundered the drawers of middle school girlfriends, daughters of family friends, and friends' sisters.
That nigga
I still
deep.
see some of those people, and I'll think about how close I sometimes came to being caught. There was this girl I had a crush on when I was 13 or 14 that I sat beside in class. She had this habit of biting on her pen. I remember we were joking one day about how gross it was that she
Bite on that.
bites on her pen because she bit a hole in it and you could see her spit starting to collect in the tube of the pen. About an hour after that I grabbed the pen from her desk, took it to the bathroom.
I was sitting there like this. Bite hoes and then biting them in. Drop that bit left, that nigga. That nigga freak
Emptied
that
all the saliva from it onto my D and jerked off using her spit as lube. After
How much spit was on there?
I returned the pen to her
pen was in
desk.
her mouth?
That is literally the most ducked up thing I ever did sexually. I remember I felt guilty about it for days, having went to Catholic
I think would have been more messed up is if he like actually nutted on the pen. You know what I'm saying?
school.
Man.
As a young, horny male teen, I could easily whack it 3-4 times a day, double that for the weekends. I was
God damn. God damn. A day? Dog. This nigga gotta have a world record. Okay. 3 to 4. Monday, 3. Okay. Hold up. This nigga is ridiculous. 3 Monday, 4 Tuesday, 4 again, 3. Oh no, wait. Okay, wait. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In a week, this nigga tear shit up. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let me see. In a week, he's doing it 31 times. That nigga is ridiculous.
also fairly adventurous in my self-preservation, having grown tired of good old lefty and righty. One night I made a game-changing observation. My erect D fit snugly into an empty paper towel roll, clearly realizing the cardboard tube would tear my woody to shreds. I needed some kind of lubricant. Shaving cream would become that game-changing implement of masturbation.
game-changing.
Good old Barbasol would have worked fine, but I had something else. Edge-sensitive skin shave gel. Now guys, if you have used this product on your face, you know 2 things. 1. It expands like crazy. And 2. It leaves your face with a tingly clean feeling. So, having filled the roll with said lubricant, I began going to town. Not too long after, I began to feel the familiar tingle that has made this shave gel famous. Except, because it was all over my D, the sensation was multiplied by 100. I was horny and determined, so I fought through it. Ended up getting off and immediately taking a shower to rid my body of the zesty tingle. So word of advice guys, if you are going to use a paper towel roll and shaving cream as duck toys, don't use shave gel.
Obviously.
Use Barbasol. It's also way cheaper. TLDR. As a young, horny lad, I ducked recyclables and used shaving aids as lube. As a young teen I ducked the screen to one of my friend's windows. I got my D stuck in the, what I thought to be, smooth hole I cut. Ducked a plastic baggie filled with Vaseline between the cushions of my couch. I used to watch the X-rated rap music videos and throw myself around my bedroom. Oh, to be young again. One summer, back in the glory days of teeming teenager sexuality, me and a few friends made a fake V of sorts. We took a solo cup and stuffed it with paper towels until a nice, cushy tunnel was formed. We then took a plastic sandwich bag and lined the paper towel tunnel. We headed on down to my friend's camper in the woods and each took a turn ducking it, swapping the bag for a clean one after each use. Where things really took a turn was when we ran out of lotion to lubricate our franken pussy with and used shampoo instead. D dried out so bad I got an open sore. And being 13 I couldn't keep my hands off myself to let it properly heal for a good 6-8 months. It, spelling. My parents were worried I had sleep apnea. They scheduled a sleep study for me. They hooked me up to all these sensors and told me not to roll over too much. The nurse administering the sleep study was really ducking hot and I could see her through the glass in the other room while I was supposed to be sleeping. She was talking to another nurse and they were laughing and joking. I couldn't hear them but oh my god she was unbelievable to look at. So, I rubbed one out. Had no idea they could tell by reading data from those sensors. Them explaining the readings to my parents was really awkward. Dude, I've got to color. Masturbated while sharing a bed with my mother in a hotel we got.
That nigga is ridiculous.
Got stuck in on a itty road trip. I was trying to be super quiet. Didn't make a sound. But couldn't stop my legs from twitching now and then. I thought I got away with it. Until just after I came. And she rolled over. Threw her hand up over her face. And started laughing hysterically. I was so embarrassed that I ran in the bathroom and threw up and then slept on the floor. She laughed at me the entire rest of the trip. What the duck was wrong with me? I still want to throw up when I think about it. She says it's her fault for never teaching me anything about the human body puberty at any point in my life. But when I was like 13 my family went into Home Depot and I decided to stay in the car. It was to my understanding that if I lay in the back flat on my back no one would see me masturbate. When I was finished not only did I realize that I shook the whole car, I realized my D was about eye level with most of the people walking past said shaking car. Scrolling through here, it seems it is mostly male posts about jerking it somewhere with something odd. What about as a horny female teen? I once ducked my curling iron. It had a really smooth
Alright, that's it for the video. Fuck no. That's it. Yo, you know who's being Retro, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you like, share, subscribe if you're new, man. Bean Bar. I'm out.